Assalamu alaikum dears. This is your Nazia ma'am. Hope you are doing good, alhamdulillah. So we successfully finished the revision of our first poem, that is The Wind, yesterday. So we'll come to the next part. Now the next topic is I Never Saw You. So we are going to revise it now. Okay. So in the introduction part, the poem I Never Saw You has been translated into English. So actually, as you people know very clearly, that we will come across two writers in this Indian literature in translation. So the literature has been translated by many writers here. So I Never Saw You was actually written by Jyoti Lanjewar, and it was translated by Vinay Dharwarkar, an Indian writer. The original poem was written by Jyoti Lanjewar. She was basically a Marathi poet who composed a poem on Dalit stream, particularly on the Ambedkarite movement. Her poems have been translated into English by many Indian as well as foreign writers. Her Marathi poem, Mother, is one of the most emotional and sensitive poems exhibiting the plight of Dalit women in Indian society. One side, the Indian people, particularly Hindus, worship women by calling them Devi, Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Durga. Other side, they do not hesitate in humiliating women by making different types of discriminations. In the name of religion, women have been deprived of the human rights since the time of immemorial. Mother is the most heart-touching poem through which poetess has not only focused on the women plight but also the worst condition of the downtrodden people in India. So a very brisk introduction and a very interesting introduction of Jyoti Lanjewar, I Never Saw You, translated by Vinay Dharwarkar. Here, basically, the writer put forth her idea, before the idea here that he mostly focused on the Dalit peoples who were not respected in the world and as well as in the society. They were avoided in all the areas. Where the poem was written in the Ambedkarite movement, even Ambedkar was a Dalit person who wrote the three lines that about untouchability. So untouchability is sin, untouchability is crime, untouchability is inhuman. So because it was inbuilt in human, that's why the human was not at all giving humanity, not at all possessing the humanist attitude, but they always have some conflicts regarding this Dalit peoples. They always think that the Dalit peoples belongs to the low category people and they have no respect in the society, but Jyoti Lanjewar proves this as a wrong thing. So Mother is one of the sensitive and the most emotional poems of Jyoti Lanjewar. So here what he says means, on one side, thus the mankind has the double side meaning. Man side shows here their double faces. One side they give the respect to women. In the Hindu worship, they used to call them as Devi, Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Durga. But on the other hand, they hesitate and they give humiliate the women in different types of discrimination. So in the name of religion, women have been deprived of human rights since the time immemorial. So here he focused upon the women's betterment. She focused about the women's betterment and wants that the women should also possess the same respect in the society as the men has. So the small introduction about this I Never Saw You poem by Jyoti Lanchewar. So he pointed out many things about the mother. The whole poem was about the mother who possesses the different characters. He fights in the world for the betterment of their child. Here, a daughter was a narrator who speaks, who says about his mother, that about her mother in such a way that whenever she saw her mother in pain, she never saw her mother wearing good clothes. He never saw her mother be happy. So she compared her mother with many class of peoples, and she compared her mother with many physical suffering reasons, many situations, and how her mother wanted her child to become up in the world with the good name and fame and to be popular, because she is suffering only for their children. Okay, we'll go with the side headings first. So, the plight of the poor mother. In the first stanza, the poet represents the two characters, a daughter and a mother. The daughter, obviously from the downtrodden class, very low class. டாட்டர் வந்து ஒரு லோ கிளாஸ்க்கு பிலாங் பண்ணுறாங்க. இஸ் தி நரேட்டர். டாட்டர் தான் இங்கே நரேட்டர். அவங்க தான் வந்து ஸ்டோரி சொல்கிறாங்க அவங்க அம்மா பற்றி. என்ன சொல்கிறாங்கன்னா, அவங்க அம்மாவோட சஃபரிங் இங்கே காமிக்கிறாங்க. என்ன சொல்கிறாங்க, in the beginning of the poem, the daughter gives a sad picture of her poor mother who was not lucky enough to have a golden jewels to wear a brand new silk saree. இங்கே வந்து எங்கள் அம்மா வந்து அவன் எப்போவுமே பார்த்ததில்லை. எப்போவுமே வந்து அம்மாவுக்கு ஒரு சேட் பிக்சரை தான் நான் பார்த்துருக்கேன். மை மாம் வாஸ் நெவர் ஹாப்பி அண்ட் ஆஃப் ஹர் புவர் மதர் who was not lucky enough. அவங்க அவ்வளோ கூட அவங்க லக்கு இல்லை. அது ஒரு கோல்டன் ஜெவல்ஸ், ஒரு பிராண்டு சில்க் சாரீ கட்டுறதுக்கு கூட எங்கள் அம்மாவுக்கு லக்கு கிடையாது. So she felt very bad on seeing the sad picture of her mother, that she was not lucky enough to wear the golden jewels as well as to wear a brand silk saree. The mother did not wear jewels and pleasant attires for two reasons. எதுக்காக அவங்க வந்து இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சாரீ, இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு காஸ்ட்லி சாரீ, காஸ்ட்லி ஜுவல்ஸ் எல்லாம் போடலைன்னா, பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் தி பாவர்ட்டி அண்ட் இட் வாஸ் தி கேஸ்ட் சிஸ்டம். அவங்களுக்கு தான் தள்ளி வைக்குவாங்க இல்லைப்பா, அந்த தலித் விமென்ஸ்க்கெல்லாம் சேர்க்க மாட்டாங்க. அதனால அவங்க எங்கேயுமே போய் அவங்க வந்து சர்வைவ் ஆக முடியாது. அவங்களுக்குன்னு ஒரு தனியாக சொசைட்டியே இருக்கும். தே கே நாட் கம் அண்ட் தே கே நாட் லேண்ட், தே கே நாட் live with the high class people, the middle class peoples and they are low to the low class peoples. So இந்த two reasons, என்ன two reasons na poverty and caste system நால தான் she couldn't able to wear the good jewels, golden jewels and attires. So the daughter thus gives a vivid picture of contemporary society in which the other ladies belonging to upper class wears gold bordered sarees, whereas the downtrodden women are not allowed to wear jewels of gold and jewels of gold and of silver. It also implies that the mother is against the tradition herself. This caste system upon women still prevails, and even today the downtrodden women have rarely golden jewels and branded sarees. They wear iron-made jewels just because of the caste system and poverty which is caused by the caste system, because lower class caste people are not allowed to earn money. So here the daughter says about the society. He points out the society that the ladies belonging to upper class are wearing the gold sarees and golden jewels, but the low class people were not allowed to wear because they cannot survive in the world, they cannot allowed to earn money. இப்போ அவங்களுக்கு பணமே சம்பாதிக்க விடலைன்னா எப்படிப்பா அவங்க வந்து நல்ல ஒரு ஜுவல், நல்ல ஒரு சாரீ போட முடியும்? பிகாஸ் they are totally avoided from the society. அவங்களுக்கு வந்து சொசைட்டிலே பிளேஸே இல்லாத மாதிரி பண்ணுறாங்க. இப்போ வந்து லோ கிளாஸ் பீப்புள் unable to wear, whereas the high class women, high class society peoples are wearing costly clothes and costly society. Why this happens? Because of poverty, because of the conflict between because of the conflict between the high class and the low class people. இந்த கான்ஃப்ளிக்ஸ்னாலே தானேப்பா அவங்க வந்து ஏர்ன் கூட பண்ண முடியாது, அவங்க வந்து நல்லா காசு கூட சம்பாதிக்க முடியாமல் ஒரு நிலைமை அவங்களுக்கு உண்டாக்குறாங்க. அதனால தான் அவங்க வந்து சரியாக சர்வைவ் பண்ண முடியல. ஸோ ஹியர் she points out the physical suffering of her mother. The mother worked hard, but she was not free to save money. In return of her labor, she was not given desirable wages. அவங்களுக்கு வந்து ஃபிசிக்கல் சஃபரிங்கை இப்போ வந்து காமிக்கிறாங்க, அம்மாவோட சஃபரிங் காமிக்கிறாங்க. ஹியர் வாட் தி டாட்டர் சேஸ் மீன்ஸ் அவங்க மதர் வந்து ஒர்க் ஹார்ட் பண்ணுறாங்க. ஈவன் தோ ஷி ஒர்க் ஹார்ட், அவங்களுக்கு வந்து சரியான வேஜஸ் வந்து கொடுக்கல. ஸோ ஷி வாஸ் நாட் லக்கி enough to have even food for her survival. இப்போ வந்து ஃபுட்டு கூட அவங்களுக்கு சரியாக கிடைக்கல. ஏன்னா அவங்க ஃபுல் டே ஒர்க் பண்ணால் கூட அவங்களுக்கு சரியான வேஜஸ் கொடுத்தா தானே அவங்க அதை பண்ண வச்சு ஏதாவது வாங்கி வந்து சாப்பிடுவாங்க. ஸோ ஷி வாஸ் நாட் lucky enough to have the enough food for the survival. She had to walk on foot carrying heavy burden of soil and dust. இங்கே வந்து அவங்க ஒரு மேசனுக்கு கம்பேர் பண்ணுறாங்க. மேசன் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, மண் எடுத்துகிட்டு போவாங்க, மண் எடுத்துகிட்டு கீழே வரணும், மேலே போகணும், அந்த சாயிலே அந்த டஸ்ட்டில் தான் அவங்க இருக்கணும். அப்போ கூட அவங்களுக்கு வந்து ஹாட்டாக இருந்தால் என்ன, வின்டர் இருந்தால் என்ன, somehow they have to work from the morning till the evening. So she worked in the construction of dams and roads, but she was unlucky to enjoy her life happily. அவங்க வந்து டேம் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ட் பண்ணுறாங்க, ரோட் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ட் பண்ணுறாங்க, டெய்லி வந்து ஃபுல் டே ஒர்க் பண்ணுறாங்க. பட் வந்து தே ஆர் அன்லக்கி டு என்ஜாய் தேர் லைஃப் ஹாப்பிலி. அவங்க வந்து அவங்களுக்கு லக் இல்லை அவங்க வந்து லைஃப் என்ஜாய் பண்ணுறதுக்கு. பட் they are giving happiness to the society by constructing road and by constructing dams. நம்மளுக்கு ஃபெசிலிட்டி கொடுத்துட்டு அந்த விமன் வந்து சஃபர் ஆகுறாங்கன்னு சொல்கிறாங்க, அவங்க அம்மா வந்து சஃபர் ஆகுறாங்க. ஸோ ஹர் மதர் வாஸ் சஃபரிங் for the betterment of the society, but the society never cared for her. அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறேன். The dams were built to provide water for the people, but unfortunately this mother was not provided with water since she had to continuous work without rest. As a result, she had to suppress her thirst and hunger. அவங்க பசியோ அவங்களுக்கு கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணணும், அவங்க thirst அவங்க கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணணும். Because for the betterment of the society, அவங்க ரெஸ்ட்லெஸ்ஸாக ஹோல் டே ஒர்க் பண்ணுறாங்க. The mother worked in the construction of a tall building, an apartment, carrying wet cement on her head, while her feet were swollen due to pregnancy. Though she was pregnant, she worked in building a new house as a menial worker to earn money for her family. She did not believe in fate but had complete faith in her own strength. She did not save money for future or to build her house. So, here the writer compares that mother being carrying a child as she was pregnant. Even though she was pregnant, she has to work from the morning to the evening, and she has to carry the wet cement on her head and she has to go up and down as they needed for her family. But she did not believe in fate but has complete faith in her own strength. She never saved money to build her house. இங்கே வந்து வேறவங்களுக்கு தான் நல்லா ஒர்க் பண்ணுறாங்க, அவங்களுக்குன்னு ஒரு ஹவுஸ் கூட இல்லை. ப்ரெக்னெண்ட்டாக இருந்தாலும் அவங்க டெய்லி வந்து மார்னிங் டு ஈவினிங் தே ஹாவ் டு ஒர்க். Next comes the traditional harassment. Here, the wearing of sari automatically indicates that the particular woman belongs to that particular caste. Even today, such wearing of saree is symbolically identifiable. ஸோ அப்போ வந்து சாரீ இந்த மாதிரி சாரீ கட்டினா எந்த மாதிரி கேஸ்ட்டுக்கு அவங்க பிலாங் பண்ணுறாங்கன்னு தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். இப்போ வந்து நல்லா ஒரு ஹைஃபை சாரீ கட்டிட்டு வந்தால் டெஃபினெட்லி வி கேன் கெஸ் தட் த பர்டிகுலர் பர்சன் பிலாங்ஸ் டு ஹை கிளாஸ், that the particular person belongs to low class, and we can guess. So even today such wearing of sari is symbolically identifiable. In many regions of India, the downtrodden women wear particular attire that is enough to identify them. The upper caste people do not treat them humanly. அந்த upper caste people வந்து அவங்களுக்கு ஹியூமனிட்டியாக அவங்க நல்ல ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் கொடுக்க மாட்டாங்க. அந்த டவுன்ட்ரோடன் விமன் வந்து அவங்க டாலரேட் தான் பண்ணணும். இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சிச்சுவேஷன் they have to tolerate. One such examples was presented here. The mother who had worn rigged saree was working as a household washing clothes cleaning vessel when the household washing clothes and cleaning vessels. When the owners gave her leftover food, she proudly rejected it because she wanted to survive by her own money, but by losing her self-dignity. இப்போ வந்து சில விமென் வந்து என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா டெய்லி வந்து they go to home and they do all the household work. When the owner gave some leftover food, they avoided that food and they said they want to, it shows that they don't want to give up their self dignity and they don't want to eat that leftover things as they want to survive by her own money. So it was a tradition that the downtrodden people were given leftover food by the householder. ஸோ இதுவும் ஒரு கைண்டான ட்ரெடிஷ்னல் ஹராஸ்மெண்ட். ஏன்னா அது லெஃப்ட் ஃபுட்டு வந்து அவங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கறது. ஸோ இப்போ இது வந்து என்ன இண்டிகேட் பண்ணுறது? வாட் இட் இண்டிகேட்ஸ் how they was treated very badly, how the women's were treated very badly by the high class women peoples. So they are given that such kind of leftover food. So it is a kind of traditional harassment அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. So she preferred to remain half hungry than to sacrifice her self-esteem and self-dignity. அவங்க வந்து சில விமன் வந்து they are of strongly self-respected women. அவங்க வந்து இது மாதிரி ஃபுட்டு வந்து வானா லெஃப்ட் ஓவர் ஃபுட்டு கொடுத்தா வாங்க மாட்டாங்க. பிகாஸ் they don't want to give their dignity as well as their self-esteem. So sexual harassment. Next, the side heading is sexual harassment. Women are object of lust. They treated as sexual object. They not treated like fellow humans by men. So always the women were treated by men whenever they walk in the road. They have some kind of flirt. Say they flirt, and the mother who walked on the street carrying baskets of vegetables or fruit for sale, she covered her head with the end of her sari on the road, and the womenizers will have such kind of bad behavior with that women. Similarly, the mother had to face the sexual harassment at her workplace. Men looked at her with lust in their eyes. The as dignified as decent women, she shouted at them, asking if they had known have sister or mother who were also women. So, in us, what the writer wants to say means even the women who undergoes the traditional harassment, the same mother undergo the sexual harassment. So as a women who brought vegetables and who sells vegetables and fruits in the streets, whenever she cross the streets, there are many low class peoples having vulgar mentality. They will flirt them with some kind of bad words. They are said to be womenizers. அவங்க வந்து என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, இப்போ வந்து ரோட்டில் வந்து பாஸ் ஆகப்போ அவங்களுக்கு வந்து ஏதாவது ஒரு கெட்ட வார்த்தை சொல்லுவாங்க, அவங்கக்கிட்ட ஃப்ளர்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க, பேட் பிஹேவ் பண்ணுவாங்க. அவங்க வந்து she dare to beat them with her slippers. அவங்க வந்து செருப்பால் அடிப்பேன் அப்படியெல்லாம் கூட சொல்லுவாங்க. சில மதர் வந்து இந்த இப்படி என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கன்னா, மதர் அஸ் எ மதர் ஹீ ஹேஸ் டு ஃபேஸ் திஸ் கைண்ட் ஆஃப் வல்கர் ஆக்ஷன்ஸ் டிட் பை தி மென் அட் தி ஒர்க் பிளேஸ். ஒர்க் பிளேஸ்லேயே ஒர்க் பண்ணால் கூட மென்னோட ஆட்டிடியூட் வந்து தே ஹாவ் டு அக்செப்ட்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. இப்போ என்ன தென் அவங்க வந்து சில விமென் வந்து ஷவுட் பண்ணுறாங்க, உனக்கு அக்கா அம்மா யாரும் இல்லையா, உங்கள் அக்கா தங்கச்சி இல்லையா, அவங்க கூட ஒரு பொம்பளை தானே, இப்படி வந்து ஸ்ட்ரீட்லேயே கத்துவியா, நீ இப்படி வந்து ஸ்ட்ரீட்டில் பேட் பிஹேவ் பண்ணுவியா உமன் கிட்டே, அப்படி கூட பேசியிருக்காங்க. ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் அ செக்ஷுவல் ஹராஸ்மெண்ட் which was tolerated by the low class people. Always they are suffering under the men lust. So next comes the gender oppressions. The women of the downtrodden are subjected not only because of the caste and class but due to their gender also. The Indian women are supposed to worship husband as God. இப்போ வந்து என்னென்னா, அவங்க டவுன்ட்ரோடன் விமன் வந்து they have to respect the husband as God, and அவங்க வந்து ஹஸ்பண்ட்க்கு காடு மாதிரி தான் ட்ரீட் பண்ணணும். அண்ட் அப்படி அவங்க ட்ரீட் பண்ணலைன்னா அவங்க வந்து ஹெல்லுக்கு போவாங்கன்னு அவங்களோட ஒரு திங்கிங். ஸோ ஷீ ஹேஸ் டு ரெஸ்பெக்ட் தி husband as God. So என்ன ஆகும்னா, when the husband usually addicted to drinking, which happens to because of Dalit women's physical and economic oppression, the mother in this poem was not ready to accept such an inefficient drunkard husband who had forgotten his responsibility towards the family. She even went to extreme of forcing him to go out of the house. So here சில women வந்து they are accepting all the bad habits of their husbands and accepting all the vulgar actions, accepting all the bad behaviors of husband. But there are some women who don't accept this kind of habits from the men. When the husband entered into the home after drinking a lot, the women shouted at that person and wanted and throw them out of the house, and they fight daily. இப்படி கூட நடக்குது தானேம்மா. சில வந்து விமென் வந்து they will tolerate all the bad behaviors of husbands, but there are some women who never tolerate this kind of attitude. அவங்க வந்து நல்லா திட்டி வெளியே அனுப்பிடுவாங்க. பிகாஸ் you are not a person, you are not an human who is not, because you are not an human who is not at all caring to the family is not a good person. So better you cannot remain in this house. So she throws that person, forcing him to go out. So there are two kinds of women, that they can act as soft women and they can act as terrible women. They had all the dual qualities in them, so that they can fight for their right, at least to have some peace in their mind. So the conclusion. Thus the mother who represented the Dalit women faced hardship in her life. She tolerated all the problems in order to provide good education and prosperous future to her family. The plight of the mother is just a sample of struggles of almost downtrodden women. The poet has vividly portrayed the plight of the mother and her untiring efforts for the sake of her children's education. So why does the poet concludes here by saying that the Dalit women who always suffered for the face hardship, and she tolerated all the problems given by men, in order to provide good education, in order to give the good future to their children. The main motive, the main ambition of the mother is to give good education to the children, to provide good future to the children. For their better future, she faces a lot. She faces all the obstacles of life. She fights for the better. She fights with the persons whoever came across to her. She fights for their children to lead a peaceful life in their future. They want their children to come up in their life like Ambedkar, and follow all the qualities in the Ambedkar. So the poet highlights in such a way that the hardship of their mother was only to solve all the problems of life and for the betterment of the child, for the betterment of their child education. So the downtrodden women, thus the poet says, the downtrodden women also struggles a lot for their children, for their better future and their peaceful life. So we completed the revision successfully. For our next topic, that is I Never Saw You, in that we saw the introduction part, plight of the poor mother, sufferings of the poor mother, traditional harassment, sexual harassment, gender oppression, and conclusion. Finally, the poet ends with that the women as a very model who faces lots of struggle, faces hardship of life for the betterment of their children. So with this, I'm ending my session, ending my lecture. Inshallah, see you soon. Till that, stay blessed, stay safe, dear. Allah Hafiz. Bye.